Manchester City are set to make another big splash in this transfer window. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to centre around the big breaking news that Manchester City have agreed a fee with Lyon for the French playmaker known as Rayan Cherki. We've obviously known of City's interest in the French playmaker for some time now, and today the news has broke that club to club a fee has been agreed. Personal terms were of course no problem. All it will take now is a medical and the tying up of loose ends before official confirmation is released that Rayan Cherki will be a part of this Pep Guardiola and Manchester City rebuild that is of course going on this summer. A massive and wonderful move in my personal opinion for Manchester City, and we're going to be talking all about it in this video. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated, and of course I encourage you all to get involved in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, that I'm sure will make for great interesting readings. Please do use and abuse that section, people. Get involved in the conversation and the transfer story. And without further ado, let's get on with the conversation ourselves. Let's talk City, Rayan Cherki, and everything else in between. Look, City are certainly not messing around in this transfer window. Last week, of course, they agreed a fee for Tierney Reinders of AC Milan. That move seems to be all but confirmed. It seems to only be a matter of time before his arrival is imminent. We, of course, know about Rayan Cherki as well. We obviously know that obviously the tying up of loose ends as part of that deal is currently going ahead before he is officially unveiled as a Manchester City player. And now it seems that City are about to make yet another wave in this transfer window in the form of the 21-year-old French playmaker known as Rayan Cherki, who has been taking football and Europe and world football by storm these past couple of years. He's been absolutely immense for Lyon. He, of course, has recorded so far this season 44 appearances in all competitions, scoring 12 goals and assisting 20 times. That includes 8 goals and 11 assists in Ligue 1. He is definitely a player that is raising his profile, has had a lot of interest, reportedly interested in him, speculating upon his footballing future, and it seems as though he has chosen Manchester City. Manchester City have chosen him, and they are going to be a part of the long-term Manchester City rebuild that is currently going on at City so far this summer. This news was confirmed by Santi Auna. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I do apologise. I do butcher names, but this was seemingly the one who broke the news today. He said that Manchester City have reached an agreement with Lyon to sign Rayan Cherki, 40 million euros plus bonuses plus sell-on percentage if the midfielder is sold in the future. Contract valid until 2030. As revealed on May, Rayan Cherki only wanted Manchester City. Big story breaking there. And then, of course, Fabrizio Romano comes in with a little bit of a tap-in just to confirm things and just to show everything up, just in case you don't necessarily agree with others and it's only the likes of Romano and Ornstein that you really agree upon. He says, breaking, Rayan Cherki to Manchester City. Here we go. Deal in place club to club after direct contact. Cherki will sign 5-year deal as Manchester City player. Lyon to receive 35 million euros package with add-ons as L'Equipe reports. I haven't pronounced that name right. I hate names. Documents being prepared in time for the Club World Cup. That's a big factor actually, because obviously the mini transfer window before the big transfer window obviously closes, I believe, tomorrow. And obviously Manchester City are facing a bit of a race against time to get everything in order, everything processed in time for maybe Cherki to make his debut and of course an appearance at the Club World Cup, which City are going to be involved in and competing in. So yeah, big race against time there, but I don't think City will mind too much if Cherki is or isn't there. Obviously it will be good for him to get there and to bed in fairly early with the squad and obviously prepare for ahead of the new season. But of course, if he isn't, then the rebuild is the bigger picture at the end of the day. But in my personal opinion, this is again another fantastic move for City. It really, really is, and that you can tell the rebuild is definitely upon us. You can definitely tell that they weren't going to take this disastrous season lying down, and that they have gone hard so far in the early transfer window, shall we say. They've already shored up the left-back situation by bringing in Rayan Cherki, and the midfield is pretty much on the rebuild. Reinders comes in. We spoke about him last week in the video. Do go check that out if you haven't already. And then Cherki, a player who is crucial and needed for this Manchester City setup. What we've criticised City for a lot this season has been through a lack of creativity. Particularly in the attacking third. The defensive third, we've already talked about with Reinders, and we've already talked about with Rayan Cherki. But the creativity of City has been a problem. Sometimes the likes of Erling Haaland have been completely anonymous this season because of the lack of creative spark. City's players look good on the eye. They look good with their technical ability. They look good in taking players on and their skill sets and their tricks and all of that kind of stuff. But there's sometimes a lack of a creative spark sometimes for City. This man can definitely produce that. We obviously always look from the centre of the pitch for City for a Kevin De Bruyne. There's going to be a Kevin De Bruyne shaped hole this season with obviously him moving on. This guy could definitely be the guy to somewhat fill that position. Not completely, and of course at 21 years of age he's still very, very young and can still maybe grow and evolve into that role, but there's no doubt about it that this guy is a very, very promising player, a very exciting player, someone that gets you off your seat whenever you see him play, and like I say, has that vision, that creativity, that spark of imagination, that spark of, something different, innovation that can obviously help get this City team back firing on all cylinders again. I really do think this is a fantastic move by City. We've seen him in Ligue 1, and I'm not going to claim that I am a religious supporter and fan of Ligue 1 and that I watch it every single week, but I watched him a fair few times. In the big Lyon games, like against PSG and the like, and obviously I watch him sometimes in the Europa League this season. The guy has been immense, and I think the guy finished with the most goal contributions in the Europa League as well. So this is a guy that's got a bit of pedigree behind him. He's got at least something to fall back on as to justify a big move to Manchester City. And I think for the money that's being talked about here, I mean, 35 to 40 million euros, something in that region, that is probably a steal. That is probably a steal for a player that is as creative as him, can chip in with goals, can get plenty of assists, plenty of creativity. And like I say, for the age he's at 21, the time he's got to gain experience, to grow as a footballer, as a man, and obviously adapt to a new league and everything along those lines, I think it's probably an absolute steal. And they did get rejected by Florian Wirtz. That there's no denying that. But sometimes rejection can lead to different alternatives that may better suit another team. Maybe this guy will better suit Manchester City. Maybe this guy is completely different. And already the comparisons between Wirtz and Cherki are starting to happen. I don't really buy into those kinds of comparisons. The last one I remember happening like this was when obviously Darwin Núñez and Erling Haaland arrived in England at the same time. And we obviously know how that one's going and sort of ended. But overall, look, I'm not going to dive into the comparisons of that. I'm just simply going to say that City, maybe financially, may have a better sort of deal, but it's all gonna be in the proof of the pudding as to how those two players play out. And like I say, for City, they definitely needed this type of player, a creative spark and an influence in the centre of the pitch, because they often didn't have that this season. If De Bruyne wasn't firing on all cylinders or wasn't even in the team, Bernardo Silva wasn't doing that. Phil Foden had a completely off season as far as what he's concerned. There was nothing coming from the likes of Gundogan, of course, and anybody else in the centre. So this guy is certainly going to fill that void and fill that hole, and is going to improve City dramatically, and is a big upgrade on what they have now in terms of the key assets and attributes that this man has in his locker and in his tool set. And when you look at the overall package as well, it just fits. When you look at the overall package of what City are bringing in, what City already have, the strength and depth that this now provides, it just all fits. They're already strengthening in areas that they need to. They probably are still looking at Livramento, but Livramento's deal, to what we are hearing, is somewhat complicated. Newcastle don't want to sell. City are probably going to have to wait until the bigger transfer window if they want to try and tempt him out of Newcastle's grasp. So there's a lot more to come from City. I'm sure that they aren't done in this transfer window. I'm sure that they've got a few more waves to make and a few more splashes to produce in this transfer window. But one thing that we do know, Reinders is pretty much done and dusted. Aït-Nouri is pretty much done and dusted. And the news today is that Rayan Cherki is pretty much done and dusted as far as what Manchester City are concerned. The rebuild is definitely on. If you were trying to kid yourselves that Man City would fade away and are finished, you were absolutely fooling yourselves. You just knew that they were going to throw money at this situation. How they can, with like 115 charges still somehow looming over them, even though we were supposed to get an answer to the verdict on that on that court case, is still beyond me. Have they just decided to drag it out long enough that some people may have forgot that that was the case? Well, certainly not this guy. So I'm wondering about that. I'm wondering how that is possible. It's obviously a big gamble for Cherki to maybe take this gamble on at Manchester City, depending on how that court case does go, if we ever get a verdict on that. But if it obviously doesn't go the way that some of us sort of expect or anticipate it potentially going, then this is a fantastic move, not just for Manchester City, but for Cherki himself to prove himself on, with all due respect to Lyon, a bigger stage, a much more well-watched stage, a much more grander stage of not just Manchester City, not just the Premier League, but Champions League as well. And there you have it. There's just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of Manchester City and their pursuit of Rayan Cherki? The deal looks to be pretty much done and dusted, official and confirmed, as what a lot of top-tier journalists are saying today. What do you guys think? Is this the right move for Cherki? Is this the right move for City? Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling about this move down below in the comment section. For me, I think that this is a brilliant move on City's part. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I'll see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.